Hello and welcome to Ralph McWilliams Shearing Supplies, and this is Ralph McWilliams himself. He is one of the main. Hello and welcome to the famous Shamus experience. My name is Shamus, and please introduce yourself.
My name is Quentin Shumard, the sheep shearer.
Yep, yeah. So Quentin, who are you? Like to kind of give the people an idea of like who you are as a shearer. You know, why don't you share like, you know, currently what your daily average is, what your high tally is, and a good day and a bad day on good sheep and bad sheep.
Okay. So, who am I? I contract shearing jobs, and you know, I shear usually around like.
So what do you mean by contract shearing jobs?
So if there are ranchers with like, you know, a few hundred to a few thousand sheep.
Yep.
They got to have someone to come shear them. So a contractor is somebody who has shearers who help them or work for them.
Yep.
So he'll contract the job and then make an agreement with the rancher to have so many shearers there to try to have their ranch done in so many days.
So you're the guy, the in-between guy for rancher and shearers.
Yeah,
to
pretty much.
And to get the job done, to get the sheep shorn. Okay.
Yep.
And then what areas of the country do you work in?
Currently, so the big commercial jobs we shear. The first like big run that I started doing was in New Mexico and Texas, and now we're moving into working in Colorado, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming. So
Montana?
I don't know. I haven't gotten any calls from Montana. So
Okay. Okay.
probably not. But if somebody called, I'd probably try to if it was feasible. It's a beautiful state. I'd love to shear in it.
Awesome. So it sounds like you've been shearing for a while now, or?
Yeah, I've been in the industry for 10 years.
10 years. And how long have you been shearing?
Shearing sheep professionally, this is my 4th season or 4th year.
Okay, so what did you do before sheep shearing?
I got my start at like 16 or 17 years old, working on commercial alpaca shearing crews.
Okay.
So those are typically 4-man crews each, and they're just alpacas. You know, they'll do 80 to 150. I think our record is like 160 some alpacas in a day.
In a day.
So with those guys, you just travel around, and then being young and impressionable, that's how I got my, you know, that's the
Start
reason
in
I wanted
shearing.
to, yeah. I wanted to just be on the road and just shearing.
I see.
Then I went and wool handled for Kevin Hickman in New Mexico. And seeing those guys shear sheep, I kind of realized what shearing could actually be. I thought it was awesome. So that's how I got started with them.
So you did alpaca shearing for
Well, I guess it
6
would have been
years?
6 years, yeah.
6 years, and then you went and then you joined a crew, a sheep shearing crew out west as a Rousey, and that's when your interest in shearing sparked.
Yeah, well, shearing sheep was just so much cooler. I had shorn a few sheep with electric clippers before that, because those alpaca shearing crews, they'll get like, there's like 5 crews and they'll get 20 some guys in, and they have like tryouts to see who gets to go. And one of the things they do, tryouts, like one of the things they do to weed out the weak is they'll make all these poor young kids just try to shear at a job with 300 sheep with like electric clippers. So they try to teach them like the basic pattern, but even they aren't that good at shearing sheep.
Yeah. So it's just the blind leading the blind, kind of.
Yeah. It's just to weed out the weak. Like whoever can stay there all day and bend over shearing sheep, they've got a better chance of getting on a crew.
I see. So it's kind of like like you said, weeding out the weak, and whoever's left at the end of the day, they have the opportunity to join the crew. Yeah, they get a shot.
They go into a pool, and then like all the crew bosses, there's like 4 or 5 crew bosses, and they would like haggle over who gets who, because they're all there the entire time, like helping teach, and then.
Yep. Sweet. So, from a beginner to now, how many sheep can you do in a day typically? Like your average.
Average, I can usually get right around 20 an hour.
20 an hour.
Yeah, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less.
Yeah.
So we're usually shearing 7 to 8 hour days, so like 140 to 160, I guess. 150, I'd say, is a good average.
Yeah, and then
if it's a full day.
What's your best?
I sheared 202 lambs in 8 hours.
In 8 hours? Nice.
Oh, thanks.
Not a lot of people can get 200 in a day. or just get in the 200 club. So
yeah.
So there's shearers that shear for what 20 years and never get 200 in a day.
Really?
Well, I mean,
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that get 200, and also there's a lot of guys that don't. So
I guess in the U.S. there's less.
Oh yeah,
less
true.
people.
True.
Who do 200.
Yeah, because in the U.S. for whatever reason the sheep are huge. So
yeah, excuses.
Yep. Yeah, excuses. All right. So it sounds like you're a pretty seasoned shearer. Not
getting there.
Getting there. Not just sheep, but other animals too. And sounds like this is a career for you. You're all in.
Yeah.
This is what you do for a living.
Yeah, I've modeled. After that first year shearing alpacas, I said I wasn't gonna go back and do it again.
Yeah.
But after a while, you just kind of start to get the itch to go on the road again. And after 2 seasons, I was hooked permanently.
Permanently.
Yeah, I'm just gonna change my entire life to revolve around shearing.
Yeah. So it seems like you have to live a pretty interesting lifestyle to shear animals, not just sheep.
Yeah.
So, are you ever home?
Home's wherever I am.
Wherever you are.
Wherever I am is home. So.
Wherever you park the wheels.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I don't really get homesick for Ohio, where I'm from. So I do rent a place there, but I'm there about 3 months out of the year. 3 months out of the year. Yeah. And that's where the most. The most. Typically on the road for 9 months. There'll be like a short break. Like I'll go home for a little bit and then I'm back on the road. Okay. And is it just you on the road by yourself, or do you have people accompanying you? Or? Oh yeah, the whole crew. Yeah. I mean, some guys come and go, but I've got a pretty good crew that works in New Mexico. They do that, and up here it was mostly me and 2 younger shearers, Kuno and Phoebe, until you came out and helped us out, and Wyatt and them. Yeah. You're putting as well. Actually, just talk a little bit about this season specifically and what you're trying to do here. Okay, so this season so it's 2022. Excuse me, and I'll just let you talk. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, so this season, I agreed to be a foreman for Chase Cantrell, who contracts in those 4 northern states that I mentioned, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, and Idaho. Yep. And the agreement was I'd be his foreman for a season and then I'd buy him out. So in the process of... So you're in the process of buying out this crew up here and this company, basically buying the client list. I see. And you've mentioned this to me before, but you have a vision. What is it? My vision is to, have a shearing empire that stretches from coast to coast, really. So what do you do on the East Coast? I mean, what's over there? I know that mostly small jobs. So that's how I got my start in I guess contracting, if you call doing small jobs contracting. Yeah. So my 4th or 5th season shearing alpacas, I went ahead and I bought a small portion of a run from a guy named Jay Mayacher. Yep. And that was pretty much all alpacas and sheep. So I think that season we just did 400 animals. So, and that stretched from Maine all the way down to South Carolina. So, and it was small. It was really small, but that I was able to grow a little bit. Yep, and expand it a little bit. So what's the furthest job south you do on the East Coast? Florida. Florida? And then furthest job north? Maine. Maine. The entire eastern seaboard. Entire eastern seaboard. And is it just one crew, or is it more than one crew that's going? It has always been one crew. This year it'll end up being 3. Right now I've got 2, a 1-man crew and a 2-man crew going, but that'll be 2 2-man crews, and when I get back I'll have to run a crew as well. So the jobs there are really concentrated, especially in the Northeast, and it's so many small stops. It's hard for just one crew to cover it all. And then for alpacas, how far west do you go? Oh, probably Missouri. Missouri? Yeah, probably. No, well, I guess last year I sheared some alpacas in Utah. Okay. but I was already out here. You know?
Yeah. And you were primarily shearing sheep out here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Shearing sheep. At the end, I did like a week and a half of alpaca shearing. I did like a.
So you'd show up to like a ranch, and there just happens to be an alpaca or llama there, and you're like, oh, I'll shear that, right?
Yeah, I'll do that a lot of the times. But this was specifically to shear alpacas.
Yep.
I stayed out west to do a small alpaca run. It was only alpacas.
So to kind of have a good timeline here, so you first started alpaca shearing at 16, about 16,
yeah,
17?
about 16.
And then when did you purchase part of this alpaca sheep run?
When I was 21 or 22.
21 or 22. And then when you were 22, you were a Rousey on.
Yeah, that would have been while I was 21 or 22 as well. It was all happening at the same time.
Yep. And then after that season, what happened there?
Well, the guy who ran it, Kevin Hickman, who's an awesome shearer and a great guy, who's told me he was selling his run.
And then you bought it.
Yeah.
So you went from within a year, learning how to shear alpacas, and then, 16, 17, 20, buying a partial alpaca run, and then buying a sheep shearing run out west in New Mexico.
Yeah, and then I had to learn how to shear sheep.
And then you had to learn how to shear sheep.
Yeah, because I didn't really know.
So that's quite the challenge to take on there. Do you think you made any mistakes along the way?
Of course, yeah, many mistakes. Yeah, I made quite a few. A lot of the mistakes I had to do with I don't know, probably just not having the money.
Yeah.
To like get the infrastructure I needed right away.
Yeah.
So, and I made a lot of mistakes with communication. My first season, not talking to ranchers enough.
Yep.
Like, I just got too overwhelmed with there not being enough service down there to call people.
Yep.
I didn't do well enough communicating with people.
Yeah. When I was 22, I was just a young, dumb kid in college, just not really worried about making a living, just wrestling.
Oh, I was young and dumb too. I was just out west pretending I knew how to shear sheep.
And making money too.
Yeah. I made the alpacas made a killing. That was nice. If I didn't have alpacas every off season, I wouldn't have been able to keep shearing in New Mexico.
I see.
So the alpacas are kind of
like what funds your empire out west.
Yeah.
I see.
Empire, yeah.
Empire. Yeah. And then so with putting all these crews together, how is it logistically?
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare?
Yeah.
Do you do it yourself?
Putting the crews together?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do all the calls and try to get people. This year, Kuno helped me a little bit. He was able to find a couple guys to come help us.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting the crews together is a nightmare. As far as scheduling all the small jobs and putting those, crews on the East Coast on it, I can't do it. It's not my strength. So I had to hire a scheduler to handle the East Coast jobs for me.
Yeah.
So she puts whatever crews on
What's her name?
Jobs. Natasha.
Natasha. Okay. So it sounds like you're a pretty busy guy.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the
time. So during your off season, do you do any other sort of work? So when you're not shearing sheep, so that 3 months when you're home, what do you do? Like
mostly just like work on like shearing stuff. Try to do welding or fix what was broken, or like maybe I'll buy another truck and try to outfit it properly for the shearing season. But when if I need to make extra money, I'll usually do tree work.
Tree work. So trimming trees and stuff.
Yeah, I used to do logging with the Amish, and that was like
in Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio, but they would go to like southern Ohio, which is on the border of West Virginia.
Okay.
West Virginia,
lots of forest.
A lot of trees. There's a lot of trees in Ohio in general.
Oh.
It's not like out here you can't really see more than a quarter or half a mile in most parts in Ohio. Western Ohio is a little different. But.
I see. So it sounds like you live a pretty interesting and unique lifestyle to do this job.
I guess so. I never think about it as being like interesting or unique. I just do what I like.
Yeah. And
I don't like to do what I don't like.
So if you don't like what you're doing, you're just not going to do it.
Pretty much, unless I agree to do it. Obviously,
yeah.
You gotta follow through on your agreements if you can. But yeah, I try not to undertake anything that's not for me. So this whole process of growing up, which I'm still in, a lot of it's figuring out what's for you and what's not for you. and I'm really starting to figure out what's not for me and what's for me. Shearing sheep, that's for me.
That's for you. So what are some pros and cons to this sort of lifestyle you're living? In order
the
to
pros,
shear.
The pros are is pretty much everything for me. Like, some people think I talk about it a little idealistically, but it's like the pros for me, it's just, okay, you get to be free, you get to be your own boss. Like, even if you're a sheep shearer for someone else, you still are your own boss. You know, you're an independent contractor.
Yeah.
You get to be in beautiful places. You get to meet really interesting people, because other shearers are, like, the reasons, they've got their own reasons for being shearers, you know, and they're usually interesting people.
Yeah.
So just, I can't really, it's just a lot of pros. I mean, diesel prices kind of blow when you're on the road, you know?
Yep.
But whatever, you can whine about that till kingdom come, but it won't change anything, you know?
Yep. Yeah. And then
cons?
What are some drawbacks to this sort of lifestyle?
For me, there's literally no drawback. For what I've experienced with other shearers is that they, you know, they've got a family.
Yep.
They miss their mom or their dad or their siblings or maybe their wife or kids.
Yeah.
And for some people, being on the road is not really, it's more of a job and less of a lifestyle.
Yep. Yeah.
So, whereas for me, this is just what I want to be doing. Like, after shearing season, I'll take like a vacation and just go back
to the spots you were.
Yeah, just to explore them a little bit more, because a lot of the spots we shear are like BLM land where you can. You know, you can just go out there and check it out. It's awesome. Last year or the year before, I did a loop around the entire U.S.
Back when gas was cheaper?
Back when diesel was cheaper, yeah. I took my diesel truck, I just bought one and I wanted to test it out, so I just like, my first diesel, I was pretty pumped about it. That was 2 years ago then.
Yeah, you talking about how you kind of already lived this sort of lifestyle, and the sheep shearing just lets you make money while doing it, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's just about freedom, you know?
Yep.
And also, I just get restless in one place anyway. Like, if I'll tell people, I'll come and hang out for a while, and I'll be like, I'll try it, do it for a couple weeks, and usually by about a week, I get tired, really antsy, it's like really restless, like, guys, sorry, scenery's getting kind of old, gotta move.
Yeah, because that kind of makes sense, because before I started shearing sheep, I was living in a trailer behind the place of employment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was already living the sort of lifestyle you need to live in order to shear sheep, and then so once I made the transition to shear sheep, it wasn't too bad.
Heck yeah.
You know, I just need to you know, get used to the you know, the country lifestyle, not the city lifestyle, and just some cultural things.
Yeah, you're from the city.
Yeah. So, I mean, so there's a lot of there's not really any cons for you for working this.
I can't really think of any, because I'm not the most social person anyway. So there's not like a social group that I really miss, aside from, you know, my brother, but he and I shear together a lot, so that's fine.
Yeah, so it sounds like you live a adventurous lifestyle.
Yeah.
Just out here, just being free and stuff. So what are some good memories? What are your favorite memories of working and living this sort of lifestyle?
Favorite memories? I have a lot of favorite memories.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, when you just have I remember a few specific days of shearing where everything just went great and I just had an awesome day shearing. But I guess mostly it would be like the stuff that happens, you know, when you're not working. Like if you have a weather day.
Yep, like today.
Yeah, like today.
Yeah.
Or, you know, maybe, just weather days are awesome. A day off is great where you get to go and explore stuff. You know, like I like to go find cold water to jump in. I like to go hike up some mountains.
Yeah.
I like just seeing all this beautiful stuff. Like a few years ago, I was like tagging with Cliff Hoops back before I knew how to shear. And we had like a weather day, and so we just decided we were gonna hike up these mountains. I think it was the Sawtooth Mountains. And it was one of the hardest hikes I've ever done, because it's just right up there. And as we were going up, the moisture in the air, there was like a line where it just started to freeze. It was like almost a perfect line. So as we were going up, the sun kind of peeked out and it was shining through all these ice crystals in the air. And I looked out over the valley and you could just see like up top, like higher altitudes, like ice crystals shining in the sun.
Yeah.
Down low, it was more like misty, and it was probably one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen.
Yeah, I too did that tag and run with Cliff, and it was the most scenic, I guess, work adventure I've ever been on. Because
he does some beautiful places.
Yeah, he goes to some places that I would never go on my own, or I would have never known it existed. Like there's some places that I visit, and it seems like it's like a scene out of a movie. Like
it looks like something in National Geographic or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And then I remember our highest altitude job was at 9,000 feet. I just remember just driving just straight up. I'm like, man, where are we going? And we get to the spot. There's a bunch of sheep there. Tag them, and then we're off onto the next one. So, yeah.
It never gets old because you're never there long enough, huh?
Yeah, never gets old because you're never there long enough. Yeah. So what are some mishaps that can happen? Living this sort of lifestyle.
Mostly mechanical mishaps and weather, you know. Maybe you'll break an axle.
Yeah. the first day I met you, you were stuck, right?
Yeah. I had made a critical error. Mostly, you know, most of the things that go wrong are operator error, or you know, you blow a tire for no reason, or.
Yep.
But yeah, when you showed up that first day, what was it, 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now?
About 4 weeks ago, yeah.
4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like tried to drive the shearing trailer over a very narrow sort of culvert that was pretty deep on either side, and I let a couple wheels go off and bent an axle. It's very sad.
Yep, and then just stuck there for a few days. No, actually, what happened?
I think we were only stuck there overnight.
Yeah.
And the guy we were shearing for sent a semi-truck with a rollback. And I had
picked up your trailer.
Yeah, I had to back it up onto the rollback. That was a pain. Yeah. We ended up having to. I tried for probably, what was it? You were there watching, like an hour.
Not quite an hour. I'd say about 30 minutes.
30 minutes trying to back this trailer onto this rollback, and then finally we were like, we just got to take this tire off the axle.
Yep.
And chain it up because it was bent so bad that it was throwing the entire trailer off, and I could not get it on there. So we took that off, and I got it on like second try or like first try or something. Second try.
It was quick.
Yeah. It was a lot faster. It kind of made me feel a little redeemed. Yeah. But that was a narrow trailer. Like the tires on the plant were hanging off.
Yeah.
On both sides.
If you guys want to see that, just watch my Utah sheep shearing video.
Oh yeah. Trying to shear sheep.
Yep, trying to shear sheep in Utah.
Yeah.
But I did eventually get to shear some sheep in Utah. And again, great country. I would have never found or been to that area if it weren't for sheep shearing.
Yeah. That's what I love about it. I like that there was no service there. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
So, because then you have a really good excuse for not calling anyone back. You know?
Unless somebody has a connection to the stars.
Yeah, unless someone has like
Starlink.
Yeah. But yeah, I love being out. That's probably one of my favorite things, is just being out of service and just completely out of touch with the world.
Yeah.
Because most of what goes on in the world is just noise that doesn't actually matter that much. It just calls for your attention.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of that, so after you're done here, finishing up this sheep shearing route, what's the next thing on the agenda to do?
The next thing on the agenda is to build 2 new shearing trailers.
But before that?
Before that?
Something about shearing sheep.
Oh, down south?
Yeah.
In the southwest?
Yep, where there's no
service.
No power.
No power,
Take
no
a bath
water.
in cold water.
Yeah.
In a tub.
I'll be shearing on the Zuni Reservation. That's one of my favorite places to shear because you have to drive 50 miles outside of the reservation to get service. And, well, the natives there, the Zunis, they have like a special cell phone carrier that only works on the res, so they can call each other. So they can kind of keep in contact with each other, but you're not in contact with anyone.
Yeah.
So, but the place where I stay down there is this bunkhouse. You just drive to like mile marker 1 over on the New Mexico side of the Arizona border.
Yeah.
And you drive south into the desert for 10 miles. And there's this beautiful little shack bunkhouse that's kind of built into the ground. And there's, no electricity, no running water. If you want a bath, you got to jump in the stock tank. The outhouse is just outside facing the open desert.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. It's amazing.
Sweet. Yeah.
And the natives there, the Zunis are so kind. Like, you'll get fed about 4 times a day.
4 times a day?
4 times a day, because every time you show up at a job, they'll ask you want to eat now, or during, or after. Every single job, and it's always like a massive big meal. And sometimes they'll try to feed you twice. Then they'll like load your truck down with just massive amounts of leftovers to take back, which you have to eat quickly because you don't want it to go to waste because there's no refrigeration, obviously, at the bunkhouse. But it's some of the most beautiful country I've seen, beautiful people, just really nice.
Yeah, yeah. And so let's jump subjects a little bit. So me and you, we've had discussions about sheep shearing, or how to shear a sheep, or what tools to use.
Oh yeah.
So kind of explain why you only use 13-tooth combs out here where the standard is 9. And also what we're talking about is the comb that we use for a handpiece. There's teeth on there, so there's 9, which is the standard out west, and then there's combs with more teeth on there, like a 13. And Quentin here only uses 13s.
Yeah,
primarily only 13s. So what's your whole reasoning and philosophy behind that?
Well, when I first started shearing, I started shearing with 9s, and it was good.
Yeah.
Like they're fine. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes they're really nice. But then I heard about these like 13-tooth combs, and I was like, oh, I'll try them out. And at first I didn't think they cut so well, but after a grind or so more, they were just running beautiful. And it was great. And then I came up here to shear in this part of the world with my 13s, and I still had tons of 9s then, because I thought I still needed them.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, you can't shear with those here. And I was like, well, why not? He's like, oh, the sheep are too tough. And I was like, yeah, we'll see. So I just used them, and it's great. Like, pretty much anything you can shear with a 9, you can shear with a 13.
Yeah.
Like, it's more about the gear is all in your head. Mm-hmm. Like you've seen some of the daggy stuff we shear, right?
Yeah.
People think it's impossible with a 13, but I was still doing about 20 an hour with, like, dags, pieces of poop stuck to the skin. Like, the gear is all in your head. Like, if you have a good sharp grind, it really doesn't matter what kind of comb you have on there. For the most part. Like,
for the most part.
Yeah, if you got like a 7-tooth rake, I don't know.
I'd like to beg to differ a little bit there. I'm a big fan of the 9s here, so.
Well, my goal is to shear with 13s for a while, keep getting really good with them, and then just to prove to everybody that the gear doesn't matter, it's all in your head, I'm going to switch to like some mohair combs, like some 17-tooth mohair combs for goats. Yeah. Maybe some 20-tooth combs after that, after I get the 17s down, and still whip out like 150, maybe get 200 on them, while everyone else thinks they need 9s. That's the goal. It's all in your head. If you just think positively about your gear, you have to have faith. That's the key.
Yeah, if you do that, shear 200 with a 20-tooth comb, I think I would be converted.
What about a 17-tooth mohair comb?
Well, I've never
used. Would that convert you too?
Yeah, that would.
5 bevel or less. Maybe a 3.5.
3.5 bevel?
Yeah. It doesn't matter, because as long as you enter on the skin and use your left hand to enter, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
Like, I know you like your 7mm.
My 7mm 9-tooth combs,
Entry on the skin, never heard of it. Just whip them out, whatever. But
yeah, just
if you enter on the skin, you can shear with whatever.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. When I first started shearing, I used only 5mm bevels. So for those of you who don't know, the comb at the very end, it's a curved tip, and how long that curve is the mil. So a 5mm comb is how long the curve from tip to end, when it starts and when it ends. And so a 3.5mm comb, it's kind of like a blunt object. And then a 7mm is more like pointy, and you got to be a little more careful with that, a little softer hand. So
I love the look of shock on your face. Remember when you first came to Utah and we were sharing those lambed out ewes? Yeah. And you came over to me and you were like, yeah, these
what is this?
Yeah. He was like, what kind of
5 bevel 13 comb? Yeah. Get this thing out of here. What are you doing?
We're still shearing about the same pace.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say before I got used to the lambed out ewes and just the position of the trailer, you probably out-sheared me the first couple of days.
It was, Yeah, I think it was, you only sheared with us for 3 days in Utah.
Yeah, 3 days,
book,
and then, but I was there for 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all 3 days that we sheared, I beat you, and then you started ringing me pretty hard when you came back.
Yeah.
But that was, in the book, one of your tallies is higher than mine, but that was because I had to take a bunch off of my tally, because somebody on the crew was clicking extra, yeah. But yeah, it was only by 3 sheep in a full day. It was close. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna still keep using my 9-tooth combs and stuff like that. And but
9s are good.
Yeah.
9s are good.
9s are good still. And
I think shearing, you should be good at shearing with 9s and with 13s, because I think both will make you a better shearer.
Yeah.
Like using a 13 will help you learn how to enter properly and how to use your left hand more as far as entry goes. And then using a 9 will teach you how to use your left hand more for stretching skin, and it'll definitely teach you how to run your comb properly so you don't cut them.
Yeah. Like what I was saying, I first started on 5-bevel 9-tooth combs, and that's the only thing I used up until about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that recent, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. No, I'd say probably at this point 2 months. Yeah. I remember going up to the guy that taught me how to taught me the basic pattern, and was kind of there to watch me shear to kind of make sure I don't make any big mistakes. I remember going up to him, George Kerr. It's like, George, why didn't you, tell me about, different length bevels and suggest me using a different one? He's like, Shamus, trust me, you didn't need to use any other comb than the 5-bevel 9-tooth comb. Trust me. I was like, you know what? You're probably right. Because when I first started shearing, I was pretty heavy-handed. It's like, whew, I thought maybe if you just flexed your muscles more and just pushed harder, makes things happen. I mean, you get the wool off, but muscles isn't really, shearing a lot of sheep isn't really about having big muscles to push the comb. So
some of the best shearers I know are bean poles.
Yeah.
Or small.
Yeah, and then so, even before meeting you, I was going to make a transition to 13s. I mean, I just want to get good with 13s, because I do know that using 13s, you work on different, smaller skills. By smaller skills, I mean like different feel and different like micro movements you feel on the skin and the wool versus a 13.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it like that.
Because
I just know the 13 doesn't just enter wool that well.
No. And then with the 9-tooth, you just like,
yeah.
Yeah. And I just don't like to push. Well, I mean, now that I have the feel for like a 6 mil or 7 mil bevel comb, I just like not having to push so hard.
I just think the 6-bevel 13s are too scary.
Too scary?
Like, yeah, if I run a 5, if I can get away with it, I'll just run a 5-bevel 13 all the time.
On lamb
like even on, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like,
well,
it's all in your head.
Yeah, well, I mean,
in my opinion, I think
I'd say a lot of it's in your head too. Kind of like with grinding.
Yeah.
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 I grind with a bent pendulum, and I overuse my papers, and I still have a good cut. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so to back up, to kind of jump subjects a little bit again. So after you buy this run from Chase, what are your goals, or like what's going on there after this season? You mentioned it earlier, but I stopped you from talking about it because I wanted to kind of save it for the end.
Okay.
So what's going on?
The plan is to have 2 shearing trailers going up here.
Yep.
So I was thinking a 6-man and a 5-man, or 2 5-mans or something. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple jobs we do that are 4,000 plus, or a few jobs that are 4,000 plus. The biggest one so far is 6,000. Mm-hmm. But there have been mentions of bigger ranches, bigger numbers.
Yep.
So I just like to make 2 trailers and make them so that they can hook together for the bigger jobs, so you can meet up.
Interesting.
Yeah. Plan is to have you run one if you want to. Yeah.
Yep. So Quentin here has asked me if I wanted to be a foreman for one of his trailers, and I'm like, you know what, Quentin?
One of the non-existent trailers.
Non-existent trailers.
I gotta build it.
It's not here yet.
Not yet.
But when it is, I'll be the guy driving that thing around. And, you know, I was telling Quentin, you know, when I decided to do sheep shearing, I was all in immediately. And I think the natural progression is just for me to eventually be a foreman on the trailer. I feel like that's the next step for me. So
sure.
Like even before you asked me, there were guys who were telling me, Shamus, you just need to get your own trailer. I'll definitely cheer for you, Shamus. It's like, well, that's a problem there because I'm still pretty new to the sheep industry, and if I were to do that, I can't do it by myself. And then a couple of days later, you call me, Shamus, I have a plan. You know, I want to run 2 trailers. I think you'd.
I think you'd do a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would. I think you're pretty responsible and you're a good shearer, and that people look up to you. So as long as that, you know, those are 3 things that are pretty important. So
yeah. So with a few trailers, you need to fill those spots, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
You hear that, people? If you shear sheep and you're interested in shearing, give Quentin here, excuse me, Natasha.
Yeah, give my secretary a call.
Give his secretary a call. If you want to just, you know, share that information right now.
Yeah. If you want to email her, it's altitudeshearing@gmail.com. It's altitude, like, you know, you're up high on a mountain.
Yeah.
And then her phone number is 419-688-0669.
Yep. And so
if you want to try to get a career in the shearing industry, you know, it could be pretty fun.
Yep. So you could either shear for him or me. You know, spots can be taken up pretty quickly here, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm on the verge of middle age. Quentin here isn't. So
yeah,
young guys here. A couple young guys here trying to change the shearing industry. So if you want in, just give Natasha a call or email. And then from that point on, we'll work on the logistics of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so any advice you want to give out to anybody who's thinking about sheep shearing?
Yeah. Let's see. If you're gonna do it, don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stay hard pretty much, you know, just keep your head down and your butt up.
Yep, head down, butt up. If your back hurts, just grab another sheep.
Yeah, exactly.
Use it as a crutch.
Be smart, find somebody that you trust to work for, you know, don't just jump into anything.
Yep.
But ask around, you know, about contractors or shearers or programs. Ask about the cost of things. If you can find used gear to start with, start with that.
Yeah, I always try to give away my old gear to beginner shearers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know how hard it can be just making enough money just to make a living.
Stuff's expensive, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I was lucky. I was all in right away, and I was able to learn fast enough to make some profit my first year. So
absolutely. That's probably had something to do with who you're shearing for too, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Finding someone good to shear for is great. And if you're trying to make a career in shearing also, and you want to do small jobs, it's a good idea just to do a season or 2 out west anyway.
Yep, get that experience.
Yeah, the more sheep you have in front of you, the better you'll get faster.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Quentin, thanks for having a seat with me on a rainy day and let me ask you questions and letting the world know your kind of like your story and your goals and your aspirations in life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Quentin here, everybody. Officially my second interview after Gina. And Gina knows him too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gina and I are kind of buds. So.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and Gina will be working for you next year.
Maybe.
Maybe. Nothing's ever.
You never know.
You never know until it actually happens.
Know. Yeah.
Right.
She'd probably be on the New Mexico run if she wanted to. So.
Yeah. All right. Well.
See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that is the end of that video. And if you enjoyed it, please like it. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe for more. And also check out my Instagram, Famous Shamus Experience. And then also check out my Facebook page. And also I do have a small store too. And if you're a fan of my channel, please buy a shirt or a coffee mug. I love drinking coffee. Today's my day off, so I'm gonna go edit some more videos and wash some tools. And thanks for watching the famous Shamus experience. Yeah.